Quick question. What are the similarities between Finland and Florida? There are a lot more than you might think. And I don't need to go into alternative histories. But the reason I thought about that today is because I have been entranced by what the Wallace Stevens poem, The Idea of Order at Key West. And it got me to be thinking about, well, a lot of things like his poetry always does for me. But I first reread the poem when I was making a joke with somebody that if I were to start a micronation in, like, say, one of the islands in the archipelago, there's this amazing, incredible, like everyone should see it sometime in their life, archipelago between Helsinki and Stockholm, just millions of islands, whatever. But it was like if you created a nation and you needed, a flag, an anthem, stuff like that, just a micronation, like nobody would really care. It's just a thought experiment. Don't report me to anyone. But if you did, I think if I had to create a new national anthem, I would pick The Idea of Order at Key West. It's very, it has the right themes. It has the right structure. It's kind of like remote and grand in some places, but and it has like really, really deep human values in it. Imagination over reality, finding order out of chaos, those types of things. And so anyway, I was thinking about that, and I was thinking, this is the perfect place to come up with a new national anthem because there's just amazing musical talent everywhere you are in Finland, and there are great symphonies all over the world have Finnish-born conductors, and there are a lot of great composers, opera, whatever part of music you want to talk about. Finland is bred in the bone here, and I was like, I could find somebody, we could translate it into Finnish, and we could score it. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But what are the similarities between Florida and Finland? Flat lands, lots of water, defined by seas, gulfs, oceans, lakes, springs. One thing I was thinking about, and I had a conversation with somebody about why Helsinki has amazing tap water, just incredibly good tap water. And it's because there's this pristine source, and there's this the water flows from this lake to Helsinki and gets filtered through the stone tunnels. It's an amazing story. It's kind of like the story of why New York has special water from upstate, but Helsinki has beautiful tap water. And so I went from Pensacola, which has the most disgusting. Well, I don't know how people survive there. It's so disgusting, the tap water, all the chemicals, industrial runoff. It's just a mess. But and so you appreciate it like when you move to a place like Helsinki because it's beautiful, and then when you learn about the source and all that, it helps. But I can say a lot of great things about Pensacola too. I lived there for 9 years. I loved it, but the tap water, no. And I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about other similarities between Finland and Florida. And I was thinking about that also because a few months ago, there's a great, fascinating podcaster from, I think he's somewhere down in Palm Beach, but he's also close to Lake Worth. Lake Worth is well known in Finland because it has the highest concentration of people of Finnish descent of anywhere in North America. If you're going to hear Finnish spoken in North America, it's probably in Lake Worth, maybe in the UP, but Lake Worth, Florida has an amazing concentration, Finnish institutions, etc. Long history of people moving over, and you can say, well, they're just snowbirds, they just like it because it's warm in the winter or whatever, they're sun worshippers. It's like, yeah, but there are tons and tons of places that you could move if you were just looking for heat and sun in this world. You know, it doesn't have to be Lake Worth, Florida. There's a reason why it was selected, or maybe it could be something epigenetic, you know, biological, whatever. But what Narco Longo said, and I think he has some of his facts wrong. But I like people who have imagination and speculative minds, you know. And some of what he says really makes you think, though it might need more refining. But he was talking about how Lake Worth, this town where there is this huge concentration of Finns, is the place in Florida that's closest to the Gulf Stream. You know, there's this amazing current that goes all the way from Gulf of Mexico up to the North Atlantic, and he was claiming that traces of it end up in the Gulf of Finland, and that's one reason why Helsinki is warmer than other cities that are at that latitude. It was like, I don't think he understands the complexity of the Baltic Sea, and then the mountain ranges. There could be some prevailing winds from the coast that help modulate the weather in Helsinki, but I think he was explaining it in too simple of a manner, and it's probably not true. But it's an interesting idea, and you know it is true. A lot of people are surprised at how mild Helsinki can be year round, and it's because well, it's multifactorial, but yeah, there is modulated by the sea and possibly these warmer currents that make their way here. Anyway, I don't want to talk all about that, so it's out of my depth. But I thought that this, and oddly in summer, it's a gorgeous day today. I really want to try not to make any mistakes when I read the poem so that I can close up, get out of Odi, and get back out into the sun. It's such a gorgeous summer day. Maybe forage some mushrooms. Anyway, let's just go through this. This is a poem you should memorize for fun, for many reasons, and it gets back to his obsessions with creativity, imagination versus reality, and the impossibility of creating order out of chaos or approximations of that. And he has some bureaucratic, kind of like too formal, stiff language in it, but it's also, but in the context of all this gorgeous imagery and legato, beautiful connected phrases and images and subtle music. I think it works because it's almost like knots on a stick or something. It amplifies the meaning, and it is also a poem that you don't have to know the meaning, because you could study this for 30 years and find new things. So I'm just going to read it. I've already wasted 8 minutes. So this is called The Idea of Order at Key West by Wallace Stevens. She sang beyond the genius of the sea. The water never formed to mind or voice. Like a body, holy body, fluttering its empty sleeves. And yet its mimic motion made constant cry, caused constantly a cry. That was not ours, although we understood, inhuman of the veritable ocean. The sea was not a mask, no more was she. The song and water were not medleyed sound, even if what she sang was what she heard, since what she sang was uttered word by word. It may be that in all her phrases stirred the grinding water and the gasping wind, but it was she and not the sea we heard. For she was the maker of the song she sang. The ever-hooded, tragic-gestured sea was merely a place by which she walked to sing. Whose spirit is this, we said, because we knew it was the spirit that we ought. and knew that we should ask this often as she sang. It was only the dark voice of the sea that rose, or even colored by many waves. If it was only the outer voice of sky and cloud, of the sunken coral water-walled, however clear, it would have been deep air. The heaving speech of air, a summer sound repeated in a summer without end, and sound alone. But it was more than that, more even than her voice, and ours among the meaningless plungings of water and the wind. Theatrical distances, bronze shadows heaped on high horizons, mountainous atmospheres of sky and sea. It was her voice that made the sky acutest at its vanishing. She measured to the hour its solitude. She was the single artificer of the world in which she sang, and when she sang, the sea, whatever self it had, became the self that was her song, for she was the maker. Then we, as we beheld her striding there alone, knew that there never was a world for her except the one she sang and singing made. Ramon Fernandez, tell me, if you know why, when the singing ended and we turned toward the town, tell why the glassy lights, the lights in the fishing boats at anchor there, as the night descended, tilting in the air, mastered the night and portioned out the sea, fixing emblazoned zones and fiery poles, arranging, deepening, enchanting night. O blessed rage for order, pal Ramon, the maker's rage to order words of the sea, words of the fragrant portals, dimly starred, and of ourselves and of our origins in ghostlier demarcations, keener sounds. So that last stanza, oh, blessed rage for order, pal Ramon, the maker's rage to order words of the sea, words for the fragrant portals, dimly starred, and of ourselves and of our origins in ghostlier demarcations, keener sounds. I dare you to come up with a phrase like that, in ghostlier demarcations, keener sounds, and that's the perfect ending to this poem. I could go on talking about this for hours, but I'm not going to do that because I think it took me years and years to really get under the skin of this one, its meanings come out. Like when I was just reading that, there were certain lines that I'd never really thought too much about, and I'm just gonna leave you to wonder because wonder is the only thing that knows anything. But getting back to Finland and Key West. Or not Finland and Florida, not necessarily Key West. Although, yeah, islands. A lot of people don't know that. I'm surprised. Like, I guess most people don't think about Finland very much, but they don't know about this vast, amazing archipelago with some tiny little islands with one little cabin on them, and some have more. But also it's just like but I think about that. Another thing that I thought about relating to Finland and Florida is when I first moved to Florida from Seattle, where I was, where you're betwixt all these gorgeous mountain ranges, snow-capped mountains you see all the time, and I asked this humor writer, this really good writer, wrote some funny books. He said, well, just remember, clouds are our mountains. Like clouds are our mountains, are our mountains, are our. And that's true, and that's true in Finland too. I was thinking about that the other week. We had day after day where the sky was changing so rapidly, and there were just these phenomenal patterns and colors in the clouds, and then during the long golden hour, and these extra long days and white nights. And it's like I was just watching the sky, and I was thinking about that's true here too. Is like clouds are our mountains. Um, I mean, we have all these beautiful ridges and Callio and all these outcroppings of rocks that you can climb and things like that. And there are some sections that have the rolling hills and things like that. But like Florida, it's largely flat and defined by all this different water. Um, and I think there's a lot of deep thought that can go into that. But I'm just going to leave you with those, just scratching the surface of this poem, the idea of order at Key West. And my goal is to encourage other people to read poetry out loud, only the best. I mean, bad poets are precious, but if you can find a few that can carry you through and that grow with you as your mind expands, I think that's the whole gambit. But anyway, have a wonderful day. Hope that it's sunny and bright where you are and you're enjoying this summer day and not in a gray room. Anyway, cheers. Ciao, ciao.